Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today offering my thoughts on Ghost Recon Wildlands. I recently spent about 4 hours in the closed beta that was live this weekend, and now I'm here to talk to you guys about it some more. I do apologize for the face cam on the top right corner of the screen. Obviously this is gameplay during the live stream for Ghost Recon Wildlands. This game is, as I thought about it more and more, the best way to describe it is, wow, this is just such a Ubisoft game from the past years. What do I mean by that though? Is that it has so many different elements from Ubisoft games all blended into one. And what's shocking about this is that a video started up before the closed beta saying it was a passion project, how they spent over 4 years on it. So I'm sitting there thinking, alright, maybe we'll see some really fresh ideas being injected into the typical Ubisoft formula. But really all it was is a rehashing of stuff we've seen from other titles being tossed into here. For example, you can raid tons and bases of camps, which then eventually rebel soldiers will take control of and hold down and become a fast travel point for you. Guess what? That sounds a lot like Far Cry and all the bases that you could raid in both 3, 4, and I believe even 2. Before you're scouting those bases though, much like for example in Far Cry Primal, you toss up the little owl, he'd scout out enemies for you, and then it'd be almost just like picking out targets left, right, and center. Same thing applies in Ghost Recon Wildlands, where you toss up your drone, scout for enemies, boom, they're spotted, now go inside and just pick them off one by one. This is also very similar to The Division, where you'd see similar HUD, similar animations. It also has a very similar leveling system to The Division, where you tag supplies, and those supplies are connected to skill trees, 3 skill trees to be specific. Essentially, treat supplies as skill points, and you could connect this, like I said, to The Division, where for example you'd have the medical supplies connected to the medical skill tree. On top of that, you'll see a lot of similar stealth mechanics from the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell Blacklist title, as well as Ghost Recon Future Soldier, which was the last Ghost Recon game I had personally played. And in a good way, it is quite reminiscent of that title, where it's very stealth focused. You can really ghost the entire area, but the second you're caught, it's guns blazing. There's really no risk to being caught. It's actually a very easy shooter. But like I said, as you can tell based off all the gameplay mechanics I'm mentioning to you guys, if you've played a Ubisoft game in the past 4 to 5 years, then a lot of this will sound familiar to you, because it's all just blending everything we've seen in Ubisoft games into its own, making Ghost Recon Wildlands really hard to identify as its own title and something unique, or just very much a bunch of different elements put into a game and said, okay, let's slap the Tom Clancy license on this, it'll sell a little bit more. What this game has going for it is a gigantic open world that can be fully explored and played together in 4-player co-op, which we've mentioned on the podcast multiple times now, that is a big gaping hole in our industry. There is such a stark lacking in cooperative titles. Everyone's doing these multiplayer only games, all of these different versus modes, but no one's doing a co-op story or just a co-op open world, because we sometimes just like to play with each other, not against each other. So that's what's really refreshing about Ghost Recon Wildlands, is that it's taking advantage of something that's not really in the industry all that often. The last time I played a co-op story I can think of was probably Gears of War 4, and before that I don't even know when the last co-op story I played. I've had to dig into the backlog a million and one times for my friends to actually find cooperative experiences together. It seems like it's very few and far between, and that's a damn shame. So that's one reason why I am very much looking forward to Ghost Recon Wildlands. But what I played from the beta, you could tell if you watched the stream, ladies and gentlemen, I was not impressed. I was just very disappointed in the fact that this was apparently 4 years of work, which you can see in the graphics, the animation work that's always good with Ubisoft titles, and the open world itself. But in the gameplay mechanic, I didn't really see anything that impressive. And when I was talking to Carrick or Angry Centaur Gaming about it, I think that's because a lot of it boils down to metrics. What I and many other hardcore gamers may want having to change in future Ubisoft titles, they may look at the metrics and say, well, we're selling X amount of copies, The Division recently exploded in activity, and perhaps they're saying, well, this is what people like, let's put these mechanics as often as we possibly can into games to get others to continuously sell. So what I may not like, a lot of other people probably outnumber me and really do like, and that's more than likely why we have not seen drastic change in the Ubisoft formula, and why we're seeing it leak into every single title. I can't really tell if there's a huge difference aside from atmosphere between The Division and Ghost Recon Wildlands. Still though, I just wanted to offer my thoughts on it. I'm sure I'll be reviewing it because Ubisoft is always good with providing review codes. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about the title in the comments down below, whether you're just watching it or you're playing it. Let's hear it, people. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. The links are as always in the description down below. Be sure to consider contributing to the Patreon. It's how we fuel all the content here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.